It happen. All right, so we're talking about slope and y-intercept. Now, slope, again, is the determining factor between if we're going up or down the line and at how steep that line is. Sometimes it's super steep. Sometimes it's really low and chilled, okay? The slope and the y-intercept of this equation are listed below. Now, this is half of algebra right here. This y equals slope times x minus your y-intercept. I don't expect you to know that yet. I don't expect you to have that understood. What I do want you to understand, though, is that when you see an equation like this, the value being multiplied by your x every single time is your slope. What I want you to take away from this equation right here is the value being multiplied by the x is your slope every single time. The value being multiplied by your x is the slope every single time. Now, if I wanted to get super technical, we understand that slope is rise over run. What? Rise over run. And so therefore, since this is just 13, can anybody tell me what the run would be? We know the rise is 13. What would my run be, Josh?
10.
Not 10. Read.
56.
Not 56.
Or
What do you-
X.
Not x. I'll show you. The answer would be 13 over 1. Let me explain why that is. If you divide 13 by 1, what do you get? 13, right? So don't you agree that 13 over 1 is the same thing as 13?
Yeah.
So what this is telling me is that I'm going up 13 units over 1, up 13 units over 1, up 13 units over 1. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, now we talked about another word during our warm-up, and that word was our y-intercept. This part right here, this is your y-intercept. So that means that I'm crossing the y-axis, that up and down line, at the point negative 56. I'm crossing the y-axis at the point negative 56. Y equals slope times x plus or minus your y-intercept. Are we all okay with that? Anything not clear on that? I don't want you to do any math with that problem. I just wanted to introduce this equation to you. That's all I wanted to do. Okay, next, we're going to have a table. And I know we talked quite a bit about tables last week, but we're going to pick back up with them now. We learned how to find slope last week. We learned how to find slope. Anybody remind the class what the formula for finding slope is? Anybody remember? Okay, if you don't. I'm sure somebody does, though. Rosie, what is it? Beautiful, beautiful. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I've told you this a handful of times. It doesn't matter which ones you plug in where, but for simplicity's sake, I just make this x1, this x2, this y1, and this y2. Do we understand? Okay, you, as a class, find me the slope of this table. Find me the slope of this table. Find me the slope of this table. It's not a trick question. I'm not trying to confuse you or stress you out. I just want you to find me the slope of this table. Once I have 4 hands up, I will move on. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Beautiful. Reed, tell me, what'd you get?
5 over 1.
Do we agree? 5 over 1. Anybody disagree? Could we write this as just 5? Yeah, either one's acceptable. I will take either one. I do not mind which one you write. I just want you to understand that slope is still rise over run. Okay, now, let's talk about y-intercept. Addison earlier in class said that if it goes through the origin, it's proportional. Now, if you understand what I mean by that. If your line goes through the origin, it is proportional. You good there?
Yep.
If the line does not go through the origin, then that means it is not proportional and it has a y-intercept. Well, let's check this out. If we are increasing by 5 every single time, what does that mean that my 1 has to be?
Move over 1.
Well, so, okay, let me backtrack. Let me totally reframe my question. If we're increasing by 5 every single time, then what that would mean is that 3 would be what?
8.
If I'm increasing by 5, 2 is 22. We're increasing by 5 because that's my slope. What should 3 be? 27. And then if I increase by 5 again, what do we get?
32.
And then if I have 5, what should that be?
39.
37.
37. Is everybody seeing what I mean by slope? It means we're increasing by 5 every single time. Any issues with that? Okay, now, what happens if I want to go backwards though? What happens if I want to figure out what's 1 going to be?
17.
How'd you figure that one out, Reed?
Because 5 minus 22 is 17.
Because 5 subtracted from 22 is 17. Do we agree though that every time I'm increasing by my slope of 5 every single time? Okay? But now, that doesn't work if I do 0. Let me rephrase that. It does work. If I go to 0, I have to subtract how much? And therefore I find out there's a 12. Okay. I want to graph something for you real quick. I just want you to see this. If I'm at 0, do we agree this is my x-axis? Do we agree that if x is at 0, it means I'm right here? Are we okay with that? And if my y is at 12, that means I'm up here.
Yeah.
And isn't that where my line is crossing the y-axis? So what do you think the y-intercept to this table is going to be?
12.
12. All right, here's what I want you to write on your graph, write on your notes. The y-intercept is wherever x is 0. 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 Okay, questions, comments? I'm totally not trying to be sarcastic. I'm not trying to pressure you. I'm just curious. Does anybody have any questions on this? Ruger,
Would that be proportional or not?
you tell me. Did I go through the origin?
No.
So would it be proportional? No. It did not go through the origin, and therefore it's not proportional. If it had crossed right here, that would be proportional. Are we okay there? And Ruger, let me also explain it to you this way. One more simple step here. If it was proportional, then I wouldn't have to have started at 12. I would have just started at 0. And I could multiply anything by 5 and figure out the answer. But now what I'm doing is I'm multiplying by 5. 1 times 5 is 5. Plus 12 gives me 17. 2 times 5 is 10. Plus 12 gives me 22. So if I wanted to write out the equation like we did on the previous problem, it would be y equals 5x, because 5 is my slope, plus 12, which is my y-intercept. Okay? Again, we're going broad full circle here. We're good there? All right, let me scroll to the last part. All right, then we have a graph here. Now, a graph is personally my favorite. It's the easiest in my opinion. Might not be the easiest for you, but for me, it is the easiest one to follow and figure out. Reason being is if you look at that, can you tell me where the y-intercept is already?
Yeah.
What is it?
It is 8. 3.
8's a really good guess.
3.
It's 9. It's 9.
3.
It's a bad graph. I'll agree. It's a bad graph, but you guys know how to read graphs.
Yes.
So my y-intercept is 9 because that's where I crossed that. So let's go back to Ruger's question a second ago. Is this proportional?
No.
Why?
Because it doesn't go through the origin.
Because it doesn't go through the origin. Now, what's up, Jackson?
Another slope.
You do know the slope? What is it?
3.
We agree?
Genius.
I disagree.
I don't know.
Why do I disagree, Mihal?
Because it's 3 over 3. Right, the slope is 3 over 3. That can be simplified.
Did you see that, Jackson?
Mm-hmm.
So, I disagree with Mihal too, though. Really, really key thing we're missing here.
What did you want?
No?
Negative.
It's negative. We watched that silly video in class. You don't even remember it.
Oh.
Slope dude for the win. Okay, hold on, time out. Do we agree it's negative? Can we all acknowledge that? It's negative because the line starts up high and goes lower, so it's negative. Now, Jackson said it's 3. So we're going to drop down from 9 to 6, which is 3. Can we agree? And we're going to go from 0 to 1. So therefore, Jackson is right. It was 3. He just left off that really important piece of the negative. Mihal, do you see the difference in that? All right, so the correct answer for the slope would be -3 or -3/1. Are we all good there? Okay. Pretty simple stuff, right? I want to tell you this. I've been teaching this same topic for units 2, 3, and 4 in my algebra class. Obviously, we've expanded it, but I'm telling you, that is how important slope and y-intercept is. I've spent the last 9 weeks of school in my algebra class talking about this. Look at, literally, look at it up here. Slope. That is good. Domain and range of slope. Inequalities on there. Parallel and perpendicular slope. Direct variation, rate of change, which is the same thing as slope. Graphing transformations of line. Correlation coefficient. Linear. We talked about that word earlier. You can see it's all there. It's the same thing being repeated. All right, go ahead and open up that second link for me, please. Let's go and look at that second link. We're going to try to do some practice problems. We've got 13 minutes left in class. We're going to go all the way to the bell today. Again, there's no homework tonight, so I don't feel guilty about doing that. Okay. Notice that in all of these questions, I'm asking you the same basic question on every single one. Slope and y-intercept. Slope and y-intercept. Over and over and over and over and over. That is our one objective today. So here's what I want to do first. I want you to find the slope of this line. I want you to find the slope of this line. Go. You can choose to use the rise over run method, or you can do the equation. It makes no difference to me, but I want you to find the slope of question number 1. Slope of question number 1. Josh has it. Looking for 5 more people. Once I see 6 hands up total, we'll move past it. Just the slope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more. Zonadine got it? What do you think?
-2/1.
Do we agree? Some of us? Kendall, do you agree? Well, let's check it out. We'll do the math. So, Zion says -2/1. I tend to believe her, but I want to double check her. So we're going to do 1 plus 3 over 2 minus 0, which gives me 4 over 2, which is 2, and it has to be a negative, so -2/1. Great job, Zion. Wonderful. Okay? Slope intercept. So I cross the line. Where am I crossing the y-axis in this problem? What number? Kendall. 1. Do we agree? Right here, here's my y-axis, and I'm crossing right here at 0, 1, which means that my y-intercept has to be 1. If we're also confused on that idea, I told you to write this down in your notes. I said every time the x value is 0, that's your y-intercept. Well, doesn't this ordered pair give me 0, 1? X is 0, y is 1, that's your y-intercept. Okay, questions there? Yeah, what's up, Reed? About what?
The math. Wouldn't -3 go